those who are listening, this is the Development Review Board of Burlington, September 15th.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah?
For some reason, I'm having a real hard time hearing you.
Your volume is low, Brad.
Oh, okay. I turned it down. Is this any better?
No.
Not
Nope.
much.
Not much. Nope, that's no better.
Brad,
No, that's better.
do you have headphones in?
Pardon?
Do you have headphones in?
I do.
It might be that your mic is just a little too far from your mouth.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not using the mic in the headphone. I'm using it from the computer.
Well, that seems to be better from my end, whatever you just did.
Yeah.
Is that better? I'm not getting much of a response here.
Not much. I'm not noticing anything.
That's my mic. That's on. Switch devices, I suppose. That's the same device I've always used, so I'm not quite sure what the difference is. Right. No different.
Oh, that's better, Brad.
That's much better.
Oh, it's much better. Okay. Then
Much better.
maybe my headphones are somehow interfering with it, so we'll go without the headphones. Okay. As I was saying, this is Development Review Board for Burlington, September 15th. And the first item that we take up items in the order they are on the agenda. When each person's applicant's item is called, Scott will bring them into the meeting. And we will try. We will swear them in as needed. So right now, I don't think there are any changes to the agenda. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Communications, I didn't see anything new. Is that true?
Nothing beyond what's in the packet.
Okay. And we do have minutes from the last meeting or some meeting. I forget which one is in there.
Yeah, they're included in the packet.
Yep. So if people want to look at that, see if they have any comments before we approve it. Then the next item is the consent agenda. The first item on the consent agenda is 426 South Winooski Avenue. Scott Mapes asking for a time extension request.
Yep, Scott Mapes is here, and Scott, I just enabled you to speak.
I want to just say, in full disclosure, Scott Mapes lives around the corner from me, and I did get a tour of his place not too long ago. We didn't really talk about his review process, though, so I think I can participate in this. Scott, do you have anything you want to? This is on for consent agenda. That means the staff has recommended approval. Are you okay with the conditions
Yes.
on this? You are.
I am, thank you.
Okay. Does anybody on the board have any objection treating this as consent?
No.
Is there anybody in the public, Scott, that wants to talk on this?
If you'd like to talk to this item, raise your hand, please. If you're on the phone, you can do that by *9. I don't see any hands going up, Brad.
Okay, so can I have a motion on 426 South Winooski?
I can get to that. On 426 South Winooski Avenue, 21-0076CA/CU, I recommend that we adopt that. Well, I guess, so it's just a time extension so that we grant the time extension. Is that what I'm moving for?
Sure. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes. We have 3, 4, 5, 6 to 0. You're all set, Scott.
Thank you. Have a good night.
See you later.
Okay, the next item also on consent is 95 Derway Drive, which is a final subdivision of the Claire Pointe planned community. Is the applicant here for that?
Yes. Carl Lispman here.
Anybody else here for this project?
Oh, I see one more.
And are you an applicant, Liz McCaslin?
I'm the Claire Pointe Homeowners Association President.
Okay, so for both of you, this has been recommended for consent approval. Are you okay with the staff's recommendations on this project?
Yes.
Okay. Is anybody on the board object to treating this as a consent agenda item? No. And there's nobody in the public for this, Scott? Is that true?
I don't see anyone.
Okay, so can I have a motion on this one? Springer.
No, I was just moving my light, but I can move. I move on 20-0488 SD 95 Derway Drive, that we adopt staff findings and approve the application.
Second,
I'll second.
Brooks. Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 6-0 on that too. Okay, the next item is, so you're all set on 95 Derway Drive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. 820 North Avenue, Winooski Valley Park District, extension of existing preschool daycare use. Nick Warner, are you the applicant on this?
Yes.
Okay. This also is recommended for approval. Do you have an objection to that?
Nope.
No. Does anybody on the board have any objections to treating this as consent? Okay. And nobody else is here on the public for this, Scott?
I don't see anyone raising their hand.
Okay, so motion on 820 North Avenue. Enough of these consent items go around to everybody to have an opportunity.
I'll take it. I move on 21-0202CU 820 North Avenue, that we adapt staff findings and approve the application.
Second,
Second.
Keenan. Okay, any discussion? I guess we'll go for raising hands. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Are you voting on this, AJ?
Oh, yeah, you didn't see my hand?
No.
Sorry. I was over here.
Okay.
Hammer here.
Okay, passes unanimously. So, Nick, you are all set.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next item is listed as 24 Alexis Drive on the agenda, but on some parts of it, it's called 32 Alexis Drive on the what's on the supporting documents. Is there any?
It should be 24. I'm not sure where the 22 came from, but
It's 24.
it should be
Okay.
24, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The files are named 32.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know why.
The architect designed 32 and 24, and he may have pasted some content, so I apologize for that. This is Dave Gaensbauer.
But it is 24. Okay, so you are the applicant?
Yes, Dave Gaensbauer here. I have my wife Suzanne with me.
Okay. And the staff has recommended this for approval. Do you have any issue with what they've put into their approval?
No, we agree with their commentary.
Okay. Does the board have any objection to treating this as a consent item? I just have to comment to the applicant, it's a very nice little house, a nice set of plans. Nice job.
Thank you.
Anyways, can I have a motion on this one? 24 Alexis Drive.
I'll move on this.
Okay, Caitlin.
I move for 21-0116 CA 24 Alexis Drive that we adopt staff recommendations
And approve the application.
and approve the application.
Second,
I'll second.
Brooks. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Thanks. Okay, we're all set. Good. So we finished the exciting part. You're all set on 24 Alexis. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
So I've got to recuse myself on the next item.
Okay.
Will you just bring me back, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I just leave? Is that what I do?
No, I'll put you in with attendees.
Okay.
Bye, Brooks. Okay, so the next item is 273 Pearl Street. A planned unit development involving a number of properties on Pearl Street and Hungerford Terrace. Is the applicant here?
The applicant is here and looking to present. So Greg Dorianis. So Greg, you're up.
There we go. Can you hear us now?
Yep.
Great.
So this is Bruce Baker and Greg Doremus. I don't know if you can see us.
I guess before we start, Bruce and everybody else, whoever is going to testify on this or speak on this, and is there any public here for this one, Scott?
If so, raise your hand. So far, I don't see any.
Okay, can I have the applicant, which is...
Hey, Brad,
Yeah.
Before we start, I also just want to say, make a disclosure. I know Bruce somewhat socially. I see him. We've played golf together once this summer. I don't feel I have any conflict. I know Bruce. That's all.
Good. So who's here? Bruce and Greg, is that right?
Yes.
Right.
Gregory, can I have the two of you raise your hand and swear to tell the truth and hold truth on the pain and penalty of perjury?
We do.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay. Saying that, if you want to make your presentation.
Okay. Thank
Eric,
you.
do you have something you wanted to add at this point? No. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So as Brad pointed out, this is several lots. And Greg, if you would just pull up the aerial photograph. As he's sharing this, I'll describe, it's important the context here because it's a challenging site and kind of a unique location. So 273 Pearl Street is a dentist office with a one-bedroom studio apartment above it. And it attaches toward the south to 11 Hungerford Terrace and 15 Hungerford Terrace lots. 11 Hungerford Terrace is a 5-unit apartment building, and it's listed on the historic register as contributing to the Bradley Street Hungerford Terrace Historic District. 15 Hungerford Terrace is a modular built building, single-family residence. It's not historic. 21 Hungerford Terrace is also a contributing structure in the Bradley Street Hungerford Terrace district. And toward the back of the lot, it slopes heavily. So this is the old ravine. So challenging site to deal with. We've been dealing with it for a couple of years to try to figure out how to make something work here to utilize the site better, in particular to improve the stormwater. And so it's a PUD involving 4 lots. The reason that the dentist office is involved is that we're sharing resources here, land mass, so that we can have shared parking and shared infrastructure for stormwater. The proposal is to remove the 15 Hungerford Terrace building, which is interestingly a modular construction. So we're hoping to be able to recycle it and donate it to someone for a new home. It's a 3-bedroom residence now, 1 unit in it, just a single family. So the proposal is to remove that structure and build in its 24-foot wide impression at the street back, and then to utilize the remainder of the lot. So if you'll switch to slide 2, this shows how the existing lots fit together. So cursor is over 15 Hungerford to be removed.
Did you put up slide 2, Scott?
Yeah, we're flipping the same.
Did slide 2 come up for everybody? Are you seeing my screen?
No.
Seeing your screen, but it's not slide 2.
So you don't see the existing site plan, Scott?
Should be A1.
A1?
We're looking at the aerial photo.
Yeah, we still see the same original image.
It says I'm screen sharing and I'm on A1 now, and you're not? You're still on the photo?
Yeah.
Huh.
Let's try again.
I'm not sure how to do it different. New share? This is it right here. Maybe this will work. Does that work?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know how I did that though.
We'll
Keep
try
trying.
This just shows how the lots fit together and the grades we're dealing with here. So not a lot to see here other than what I just described. And you'll note on the corner to familiarize with the neighborhood, Pearl Street, the corner of Pearl Street and Hungerford Terrace is the old mobile station that's currently not in use. We skip to the street view at slide 3, Greg.
Okay, I'm going to do my best here, but I don't know how I'm finding these. This is not my screen share. Normally works different for me. Scott, it's not like I'm really on my computer. I have this.
You have the plans.
I know you do. Yeah, but
all right.
We were hoping to be, we kind of had these all set up. I was already.
No, I get that, but we do have the plans.
Okay.
The public might want to see this too, but we'll see.
It's not.
So Greg and Bruce, whatever you're looking at on your screen should be what's showing up here.
Yeah, I'm seeing A1.
Right, I know. I'm going to go to what we're talking about right now on my laptop, but I don't think it's going to be, I don't think you're going to be able to see it. This is a picture of the street. Are you seeing this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you are? Okay, great.
So this is a picture of the street in the late fall, so you see what the street looks like. It's kind of tight. We'll show you a perspective later that'll show you the what's going to be built, so you can see it without the trees. But the closest to on the left, where the cursor is 21 Hungerford Terrace, a single-family dwelling. 15 Hungerford Terrace is in the middle. That's the removed, and farther to the north is the 15 Hungerford Terrace. 11 Hungerford Terrace, excuse me.
Number 4?
Number 4.
So this is existing. Did that come up for you? The existing site plan, the proposed site plan?
Yes.
Great.
So this is a proposed site plan showing you the massing from above. The new construction is in the middle between 21 and 11 Hungerford Terrace, excuse me, with parking in the rear.
I'd like to ask a question on that slide, if I may. How high is the retaining wall on the west side of that property from the adjacent property?
I think the highest it's at is 10.5 feet in the middle. It's kind of like a bowl, like a bathtub in there, both sloping north-south and east-west.
So it's less on the north and south side, just in the middle, is what you're saying.
Right. And, we can show you some pictures if you want to see later, but it's basically the character of that whole ravine. Within 100 yards of that westerly boundary are probably 7 different retaining walls of very old and not very well put together. And we can show you some pictures toward the end, but the character of that area is full of retaining walls. It's kind of unusual in that way. If you skip to 810, Greg, number 5. So this shows a comparison of the street view of the property as it sits now, the 3 properties on Hungerford, and then below it, it shows how we'll be taking the 15 Hungerford single-family dwelling and replacing it with this other, with the new structure. This is a little hard to tell with this one, and we'll show you another one because as you'll experience it from the street, as a 24-foot wide building. So, the next one.
That's 6.
So these are the renderings of all 4 sides, and we can come back to that if anyone wants to stop there. But I think the most telling will be the street views that we put together at 7, 8, and 9, Greg. So this is the same view from the south that you experienced earlier. And you'll notice that we have tried to mimic the pattern on the street, or refer back to the pattern on the street on the other side. There's a very large building at the corner of Pearl Street and Hungerford Terrace. And then another substantially sized one, both with porches and with some brick, and then a smaller single family dwelling. So we've attempted to repeat that pattern on the other side with porches, with brick up to the mid-level of the first floor windows on three of the sides of the building. You go to 8, you can see it again. So this is a view. If you were standing directly across from 21 Hungerford Terrace at the 2nd floor, this is how it would look. Now this is without trees. There are substantial trees there, and we are not proposing to take those trees out. Show me 9. And this would be the view as you walk down Hungerford Terrace on the opposite side of the street near that large brick structure in the corner of Pearl and Hungerford. And 10 and 11 show the perspectives from all 4 sides. The 10 is the east and the southerly elevation. And 11 is the westerly one you were asking about, Brad?
Yeah.
We'll be screening that with spruces up to 14 feet and other types of vegetation that are shown on the vegetation plan. And we'll be doing a privacy fence so that there'll be no lighting coming through. And on the right-hand side, you'll notice this garage. This garage, we're going to move and repurpose back further on the lot so we can utilize the lot more fully and for parking.
And that planting is on your property on the other side, on the west side of that wall. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Now we own a condominium in the commercial condominium in that development. So we also have some permission there to do whatever we need to do as well. But we don't anticipate having to do anything. It's it'll be maintained from our side. So the floor plans are at the next 2 slides, which are 12 and 13. The floor plans are 2-bedroom units with a 3rd guest bedroom or den, depending. We're finding with the pandemic that a lot of folks are working from home. Currently, our tenant population here is about 50% working folks and 50% students. So we anticipate that will probably be the case going forward, and we want to position ourselves to be able to lease to anyone in that group, either group. So that is all we have to show. A couple other items that are here. We're looking to take down an existing dilapidated garage at 11 Hungerford Terrace, to move the 21 Hungerford Terrace garage back, and to remove a side porch on the 21 Hungerford Terrace single family residence so that we could provide better access to the site.
Okay, so are there members of the board have questions for the applicant? Keenan.
Hey, so I have a few questions, and maybe where I'm jumping ahead here. So if you're going to talk a little bit about your parking plan and all of that, my question can wait until we've seen that part of the presentation, but I'm not sure where we're at in your presentation.
So we're done. I mean, and I think maybe you can take us where you'd like to be. I mean, our materials, we have quite a bit in terms of materials. I mean, I can talk about parking now if you'd like.
Well, so I had a few questions. So let's start first with, so I saw that you did, I like that you were trying to figure out a solution around, you know, encouraging your tenants to sort of give up the use of a car. And I think that, you know, the education plan and things that you've sort of put in here could work. I had just a question in some of your marketing materials. So first, you talk about the Car Share Vermont membership, and then in one of your materials, you said that you know, you maintain a car share membership for those that qualify and may need to use. So if I'm a tenant that doesn't qualify, what sort of solutions do you have for me?
Well, first, the qualification is you'd have to have a driver's license, and I don't think we've ever experienced someone who didn't. The other options will be that we offer a bus pass for folks that need it. And we're trying to be as bike friendly as we can with the building itself, including the bike trolley you saw, to allow people to go shopping at City Market with it. We provide a bike trolley, and all they have to do is put a credit card down as a security deposit so it doesn't get lost, and we give it to them free of charge.
So then on the bus pass issue, I saw in your materials that you offer up to $500 of passes on a first come, first served basis. So are you only offering $500 a year to your tenants, or do you actually offer a full like annual bus pass?
So maybe I should step back for a second. So we have a lot of experience with this. This is developed over probably 9 years now, maybe 10. And it started really with looking at, you know, your requirements of a parking management plan for another property we had. And we started surveying our tenants, and we found that parking and traffic are a very boring, granular analysis of how people behave. And we watch it. We survey our tenants every other year, at least, and sometimes every year, and we find their patterns. So that's something, you know, when we're saying that these are things we do, we know their work. In fact, we think they push down demand too much, and we can't quite lease all of our spaces in some years. As far as the number, we've never used up all of our bus passes because of the location, really. I think one time we had someone take advantage of it, and we paid for a whole year's bus pass. But we don't have it very often because we're only 3 blocks from UVM and the medical center, and 3 blocks from Church Street.
I was just going to add that I think this is Greg, that we find that most of the tenants are walking because of where we're located. It's almost longer to wait for the bus sometimes than it is just to walk the 2 or 3 blocks or to the hospital downtown or even Pine Street. So, but we do have it available. I don't worry about us exhausting our funding for that.
It is just to follow up on Keenan's question. I think you've been before the board a few times on a number of this scale project, and so I'm just following up on the statement you made, Bruce, about you don't have all your spaces rented. So is that because you've asked for parking waivers on some of the other projects on College Street, I believe?
That's right. Yeah, you know, go ahead.
And so I just want to know how does that go on, because that speaks to what you're doing here.
Sure. So first thing is we wouldn't try to build something with this potential for liability unless we knew we could rent it, and we can't rent it unless we have parking. And what we've seen is so first of all, in Burlington, we get out early in September and lease for next June. And during that time, that provides us with an opportunity to have pre-lease meetings with our tenants and to tell them about the cost of parking, charge separately for parking, to tell them about bus passes, and also to tell them that we prioritize tenants who value walking and other modes of transportation, and we'd like, if we can, to lease to them first, because I think it's less of a burden on the community. And and we explained with detail how much it costs if they were trying to avoid parking with us and maybe parking on the street or in the parking garage. And in our package, we explained to them we looked at parking meters, feeding a meter every day. It's about $3,000 a year, I think. So, and the other thing that we do is we try to allocate at least one car per unit, to one car for each unit, so that every unit has a car, and they're in a shared situation anyway as to living. And we attempt to convince them that sharing a car is even better than sharing, and less invasive than sharing a home. So that's been really successful. I think our numbers last year and over the last 4 years have been about 0.9 spaces per unit utilized.
That's over how many buildings, Bruce, or how many units?
So we have 67 units.
Okay.
And one thing you'll notice that we've asked to share parking between other lots. What we found over the years is we would drive down parking demand in 1 or 2 lots and leave them open for the year. And under prior bylaws, you weren't allowed to share within. So that is there because not because we're not concerned about this parking management plan for this site. It's that we would like to be able to move cars over to these other ones so that folks can use our other parking. Folks can use this parking for other sites, but it's not dependent on this.
Do you track, this is Jeff Hand, the number of cars that your tenants have who don't rent spaces from you?
Yes.
And what has that been historically?
So
percentage-wise?
Percentage of cars, so usually there aren't very many. I mean, there's probably 4 or 5 a year. And we ask for it in the application, and we don't consider the application unless it's fully filled out. So we ask for a registration of a car that bringing to campus, and we're really close to our tenants. Our people are there every day, so we would know if there was a car floating around that wasn't registered with us.
Okay, so maybe my question wasn't clear. The number of tenants you have who have a car but are not renting a space separately from you, so cars that are associated with your tenants but are not parking on your property or under your management plan.
For last year, the last lease year, there were 4.
Out of how many?
Out of 212 tenants.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions from the board on parking related issues? I have a site related issue on that, and that I know it has to go through DPW and stuff, but it looks to me like you're collecting the water from the western property and putting into underground storage tanks. Is that what I'm seeing?
That's right.
Right in this area.
That's what because there's a lot of water that's coming onto your property now from those adjacent properties, right?
There is, and mostly it runs, where we're seeing it at 11 Hungerford Terrace in the basement.
Run this way.
Yeah. So and DPW is going to review that anyway. So that I just wanted to make sure I was understanding what's being proposed there.
Yeah, we're hoping, we believe it's an improvement because CEA designed a modern vault underneath there to capture more. I think it meets the standards. And
you get pumped into the storm sewer after that?
I don't think. I'll have to look.
Grinder pump somewhere, but.
I don't remember. Right? Engineering and stormwater is not my strength.
We have our faith in DPW.
I'll answer that for you, Greg. We'll find those.
I think it infiltrates, but I don't know.
Okay, it's up to about 10 or 15 feet down, it looks like.
When we went to Conservation Board, I brought our engineer. I think that question came up, but I don't recall the answer.
And just one other, so there's 18 apartments, am I just remembering that right?
So there's 12 apartments proposed to be built, one house proposed to be taken away. So you'll have a single family dwelling, a 12-plex and a 5-plex. So that's 18.
18. And in the new building, they're all 3-bedroom. Sorry.
Right. We anticipate that a lot of people will be working from home at least for a while. So it's 2 + 1 in some cases, but we wanted to identify 3.
Yeah. Unless the, if anybody else has questions right now, I guess I'm curious about one thing on the streetscape that you had there. I'm trying to find that image. That has, I'm just more or less curious about, and this isn't high on our list of priorities here, but it looks like you've got a natural wood on the posts on the porch on the street front. Is that
Yes.
what you're proposing?
Right here.
Yeah.
What's your question?
Well, I'm just a little surprised at that.
So the DAB made the same comment, Brad, and we haven't updated this since then, which was only a week and a half ago. But I think it was discussed about maybe just making them white, which we're certainly.
It's better, and I think the natural is a maintenance hassle for you guys.
A bit, yeah, but it wasn't a critical item. We just hadn't done it, but we can easily provide a rendering to you of white. Very similar to across the street.
I'd agree with the DAB, I guess. So.
Okay.
It's interesting. It didn't make the motion, so that's why we were
right.
Sure.
It was discussed at this, what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Sorry. So it was discussed at DAB, but they didn't require a change. So and we just hadn't gotten there.
I mean, with all the attempt to make it sort of fit in, even though it's very different, that seems contrary.
Yeah.
I think that's easily done.
Yes.
Yeah. Sounds like an
improvement. I did find in a document from Public Works, it says the vast majority of the project area drains to the proposed storm tech infiltration facility, which is what was designed. This facility is designed to infiltrate the water quality storm event and reduces pre-development and post-development peak flows for the 10-year storm event via control structure prior to discharge into the ravine drainage swale at the property boundary. So it doesn't sound like it's pumping.
Yeah.
It's the infiltration trench.
Right. And stormwater treatment summary hydrology plan, stormwater modeling for additional information. So I mean, there's so much here and it's a little bit over our knowledge set, but I'll give you a little bit of flavor anyway.
Okay, good. And Keenan, did you have another question?
No, I'm all set.
No set. Okay. And were there members of the public here, Scott?
So if you're looking to speak to this application, please raise your hand. Again, if you're on the phone, that's *9. So I don't see any hands going up, Brad.
Yeah. We weren't keep the secret. I mean, do you like that, Bruce? Not have any public coming in?
Yeah, it's surprising.
Do you want me to stop this?
Well, we worked a lot with the neighbors in the ravine. They're my co-owners in the condo.
Yeah.
So we've met a lot with them and responded to their comments. I mean, this has been going on for a couple of years in the planning, so we've designed it with them in mind.
A number of the changes we've made have been specific to their, our discussions with them. So that's a good start, I suppose.
And I guess one other question on that. So you are subject to affordable housing on this? Is that true?
Yes, I think 2 units.
So that gets dealt with the city.
Correct.
CEDO does that, right? Is that CEDO?
Yes.
It was.
It was.
Yeah.
He
Mary's.
was involved in it. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Okay, well, if there are no other questions from the board at this point, nobody wants to, okay. Well, we're going to close the public hearing and we'll see whether we feel like we've enough to deliberate, if we have any more questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. See you later.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
Scott,
So we have our next item is 400 North Street. New dwelling unit demolishing a garage. Is the applicant here?
I believe so. Let me bring Brooks back up.
Hey, Brooks?
The applicant. Here's the applicant.
Will McKenna.
Oh, McKenna.
Okay.
Hi, this is Will McKenna here.
Okay. There were some questions from, I guess, a neighbor and a few comments from the staff that had to do with water flow on the property and adjacent property. And I may add just a little curiosity about the driveway, how it intersects with Gans Court. So with that kind of little preamble, maybe is there something you want to say or present on this? I'm so sorry, but I keep forgetting I'm not used to the Zoom. I have to swear you in. And is there anybody else speaking on this, Scott?
If you'd like to speak, raise your hand, please. I see a number of attendees.
So no, okay.
So I'm seeing several.
Oh, who want to speak on this?
Yep. Shall I allow them to talk for swearing in or hold off?
Why don't you allow them to talk to swear in and then we'll let the applicant speak.
Okay.
And when people speak, we'll ask that they identify themselves and give contact information so Scott can follow up.
Right, so your mailing address for notification of the board decision.
So I see Joseph Clary, Luke Purvis, Lieutenant, and somebody who's on a phone. I'm going to ask the four of you, do you swear to tell the whole truth under pain and penalty of perjury?
I do.
I do.
I do.
It's three.
I do.
Okay. Great. So thank you, everybody. So the applicant's going to make a presentation. We'll have questions, and then the public will get a chance to speak. So, Will, you say what you have to say.
Well, I'd like to start off with saying thank you for hearing this. I guess the initial report that I got from Ryan Morrison, I think almost everything was ruled in the affirmative, or not ruled, but was found in the affirmative.
Accurate.
Then there was, I guess, a few public concerns that were brought up about the wastewater. I actually, it was a bit of my fault. I did not follow up with, I believe, James Sherrard on a few questions he had. And then I ended up following up with him in the last several days. And that was in regards to the stormwater mitigation. So this past weekend, I met with Joe and with Luke. Joe, I believe, is 158 North Willard Street, and Luke is 164. And we sort of discussed some additional mitigation that we could potentially do. I sent in a plan earlier this week. I think it was yesterday. It basically said that I just showed that I could potentially install a French drain along what would be the western side of my lot, and that would sort of intercept the water that would potentially flow from the east side from Dan's Court. And what would happen was that the French drain would sort of take the water, away from the Cleary's garage, and would push it south, and away from also Luke Purvis's property, which borders mine to the north.
That's all dependent on the grades. And I don't see we don't have any information on grades in front of us. I don't, maybe you have an engineered site plan. Has one been done?
Well, what I did, I had Krebs and Lansing do an existing conditions plan, and I thought that would sort of suffice, and so here I am. I'm proposing some mitigation, and I think that for the most part, my neighbors and I are on the same page. I've told them that I'm going to do what I can, everything I can, to ensure that they do not have additional storm water going to their property. And I think that I have a good solution for it.
Well, I guess the solution is going to have to pass muster with DPW. Right?
I'm not proposing it otherwise. I sent them I sent them some more information so that they could review it. I thought that was the path forward. So.
And is that a grading plan that shows the grades and how you're proposing this French drain to work?
I came up with this idea literally this weekend because I didn't think that there was going to be issues with stormwater, and then it was brought to my attention by my neighbors who I'm taking their concerns very seriously. And so I've proposed this as a strategy.
Okay. Is this your project, Brian?
It is.
So I'm just going through the recommended conditions of approval, and I didn't think I saw something. I see something about DPW for water and sewer services, but nothing about stormwater.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, we usually put that condition prior to release of the zoning permit to get that approval, but the new ADU ordinance speaks specifically to the DRB must, I don't remember it verbatim, but the DRB must find that it meets the stormwater requirements in order to make a decision.
Oh. So that's
that fine language is kind of why we didn't go with that recommended condition and went forward with no finding possible at this point until such stormwater plan is approved.
The bar here, Brad, is there was a lot of discussion when this amendment was being put together, and really the focal point was, what are you going to do about runoff? Right? So it was deliberately put in there that it goes to the board, but that DPW needs to find that it's acceptable before the board acts.
So that would speak to us having something to look at that addresses that condition, and
right.
we don't have anything here.
And a simple approval note from DPW would meet that standard.
Yeah, that would be one way to do it. Like otherwise, but if that's the thing that we're supposed to be looking at it, then we would need to see something that we could.
Right. So that's
Brad, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I wasn't, when I submitted this permit, I wasn't aware of any sort of. I'd done the paperwork for the stormwater application, and that was it. And and I was not aware of the concerns of my neighbors specifically about stormwater until several days ago. And originally when I received the findings, that it didn't say anything about this, and that was amended shortly after. So I guess if you're proposing that, I mean, I'm not sure if you want to, you can't, what it seems like is that you guys are unable to rule on that, but what I guess you'd need an answer from, it would be, I guess, James Sherrard, who it's his file.
I would say let's not jump to a conclusion yet, because we could approve it with
okay
about TBW. There's other things.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to.
I have one other site question though, and this also relates to grades and things. Is there's a retaining wall along your property on Dan's Court?
Yes.
It's not really clear to me where that retaining wall ends, and that speaks to a difference in grades between Dan's Court and your property.
Right.
You're going to have a driveway going from Dan's Court onto your property, so it's not clear how the elevations work to get from Dan's Court onto your property with a car.
Well, so like a standard parking spot is approximately like 18 by 9 feet.
And is that past the end of the retaining wall?
No, so there's a retaining wall that spans all of Dan's Court, and so what I would be doing is at that the difference between the finished grade of my lot and Dan's Court at that portion is about it's about 18 to 20 inches. So basically what I was thinking is that I would grade it down about an inch a foot or something like that, which I don't think would be it's not that going to be that steep. And then but I would take it 18 to 20 feet, and then I would still have there would still be over a 10-foot barrier between that's going to all be vegetation between my property line and the property line.
It just speaks to more grading issues that aren't clear, but I understand your intention.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess this is why we do these hearings, is that I didn't think that was I didn't think that stormwater was going to be a big issue on this, but it seems like it is. So that could be something that I could provide more documentation on, if that's what's being requested here.
So before we go to the members of the public, are there other questions from the board for the applicant? So we're going to let the three people who are here from the public speak and raise questions or whatever they have to say. And then afterwards, we'll ask you can come back and address whatever they have to say.
Right, sure.
So out of the three people, two of whom I see names, and the third one I see as a phone, it's your turn to speak. So if you can just identify yourself and say where you live or some contact information for Scott, that would be helpful.
So let's start with Joe Cleary. Everyone's muted at the moment. So Joe, just unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks for taking this up. And I want to thank Will also for answering so many of our questions this weekend. The only thing in the plan I would want to bring to the board's attention is I think the recommendation mentions snow guards for the roof on the western side. That would be very helpful. The drain that Will mentions, if there's a French drain that is between our properties and between his proposed building and our garage, I would just want to make sure that was sized for the capacity of stormwater that's needed. But that would be helpful. Anything he could do to mitigate that. I know you can calculate what comes off of a roof. I'm not sure how to calculate what comes off of Dan's court, but I really appreciate the board engaging with that issue. Thanks.
So Joe, can we get your mailing address?
Sure, it's 158 North Willard.
Okay, thanks.
Joe, how is the drainage right now on your property?
Right now, it's manageable because I was at, let's see, a number of years ago, we had water running into the back of the garage. I peeled up some siding on the back. Basically, I have to access Will's property to do that, so that's a little difficult. It sits right on the property line. I wish it were 5 feet off our property line. I think we'd have less issue. But I peeled up some siding and sealed it up and then compacted the earth really, really good right there. So it doesn't leak into the garage currently, but I also clear snow from one side of the garage. And I just, the concern is that a large increase in that area, if it's just a 5-foot setback to the wall, that could change and that we'd have just a stream. So we're trying to avoid a stream running through that area. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So Purvis next.
Luke, do you want to unmute? Okay. You there, Luke? We're not hearing anything yet.
Oh, you, Luke.
Are you still muted, or can you speak?
All right, maybe we should come back to Luke and listen to caller.
And who can you identify yourself, the person who's on the phone? And you're muted.
Yes, the phantom is Sharon Busher.
Oh, hi, Sharon.
From Ward 1.
Yep.
And Dan's Court is a familiar street for me because, first of all, I live in Ward 1, but then I represented the ward for a long time. And know, since I go there in the winter and the spring when I was campaigning, there's a lot of water. And so when I read this application, I thought about it, and then I realized also I was part of the Joint Committee for Planning and the City Council Ordinance Committee with the expansion and allowance of ADUs and the need for that, but also knowing that with that expansion comes some unintended consequences. And one of those had to do with erosion and stormwater runoff. And so for me, it's really important that the DRB have that information before you approve, because I think that sometimes I've had my own experience before we had accessory dwelling units where someone put in a parking lot and it actually caused a real problem for houses on a side street. And in fact, one neighbor actually ended up moving out because she really couldn't control the water that came into her basement as a result of that expansion and the runoff that resulted from that parking lot. So I think these are issues that can be resolved, and I want this application to move forward, but I don't feel like I know enough to feel confident that everything can be solved, and want to know that before approval. So thank you very much, and I think you have my address, but I'll say it anyways, 52 East Avenue in Burlington.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.
And Luke, are you able to speak at this point?
Luke is unmuted, but I'm not hearing anything. So Luke could send comments if he's got a technical problem. He could send me an email and the board could see that before you deliberate.
Okay.
Does that work?
I think that works for the board. If Luke can do something in to do that today, is that the idea? He would do. Yeah.
Yeah.
next few minutes, send emails to Scott. Luke, if you can do that, that would be helpful. Hear your comments. So I guess we'll go back to Will right now. If Luke can speak before we finish this, that's great. And I guess maybe, I guess I also have a question for the board right now. You know, the stormwater, which I guess for ADUs is sort of in our court. We can ask DPW to weigh in on that, and that can be a condition of approval, which is sort of how we usually do it. But it is a concern on this property. I'm also concerned that right now, without grades and things like that, there's no way to really know how somebody drives onto this property. I understand that there may be a way to do it, but we don't see that on anything. We don't have a site plan with grades that show how to do that. And you know, we could either look at this thing and make a lot of conditions, or we can ask them to come back with some of this information. I am curious to see what the board, other members of the board.
This is Jeff. I'm kind of leaning towards the more information. I mean, Will could maybe help me understand this, but the French drain concept is confusing me a little bit. You know, I can't tell, Will, if you're proposing a French drain along Dan's court and where that would essentially outlet, or what I heard, I think, from Joe was a request for a French drain along the west side of the property behind his garage on your property. So it's just unclear to me what the plan is, and I think it'd be helpful to see both that and the grading that Brad is talking about.
I'm not sure if the latest thing I sent out got circulated or not, but you know what I did. I don't pretend to be an architect, but I got professional plans done, and so some of the things I've done I've just labeled on them. But I sent, I believe, to Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, and James Sherrard, and to Luke and to Joe. I just labeled on one of the site plans, sort of where the French drain would go, and it would run from almost from the northern property line, the length of the ADU on the west side, which is close to Cleary, Joe Cleary's lot. So basically, in theory, if water did come down the driveway, which is sloping westward, right, then it would run into the French drain, and then instead of continuing on into Joe Cleary's garage or onto his property, you know, the French drain would basically soak up a lot of that water and put it, and it would then run south and dump out closer to the main house.
Will, the trouble with that is that all of that is dependent on the specific grades and slopes and things like that, which we don't have. I mean, it sounds great, and if it works like that, that sounds great. But without we don't have information that says that could even work.
Well, yeah, so that's why I sent it to James, who's the stormwater.
So you had something with grades and elevations on that?
No, I literally, like this weekend, I literally just labeled on one of the existing landscape plans, like where this would go, so that more for my neighbors have a better understanding of what we're trying to do.
And Ryan, we don't have that yet, right? I don't see it in the plan package.
No, it didn't make it to the plan package, and it basically just went to James.
Oh, okay. All right, Brian. I don't know if I copied it or not.
Keenan, you're trying to say something?
Yeah. William, do you have any objection to us just sort of sort of deferring any sort of decision on this until we get some more information?
Well, what I think is that what I would like is, you know, it seems maybe I'm overstepping here, but I think it was one of the happiest moments I've had in the last 6 months when I read the findings originally from Ryan, and I read through and pretty much everything was affirmative. And I called my, I called my dad and I said, because I've been thinking about this project for a long time, and I said I think that this is really going to happen. And then now, and I don't think that anything's really changed. I think that there are some additional concerns about the stormwater. Personally, I don't think that the stormwater is going to be an issue, and I think, but I'm definitely willing to do whatever I can what's requested by the board and by my neighbors to mitigate this. But I think that I don't want to say, okay, like let's table this whole thing until like I get have to get a whole new set of plans made up. I think that maybe if we can approve this with a condition from the maybe from getting an approved EPS or approved stormwater plan. If I get a plan that's approved by James or whoever's in charge of making that decision, and it's just conditional on that. That from the way that I'm reading this, that's the only issue.
I would throw in the issue of the driveway too, only because what you described to me is not an easy. 18 inches is a lot of height to make up in a driveway.
Okay.
When you say,
well, I mean, the thing is, it's like, would you, is it perfect? No, but this is I think that this is something that would be. I think it's a good project. It's maximizing the utility of.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. It's a very sweet little building. It's a nice slow build, nicely detailed. I think it's quite nice that way. It looks like it all will work. We just don't have information that we need to come to a conclusion, I think, is the issue. It's not that, I think it looks good. Whether we, want to put it off onto DPW to figure out these things, I guess that's an option for us.
But I understand the board's concern like 100%. So I guess, I think the both sort of getting at, I think that the driveway and the stormwater, I think that those two go hand in hand. So I think that that's sort of the crux of the issue. And I don't think that, going down 18 inches, I don't think that that's going to be, and I'm not sure if everyone's seen the plan that I labeled on there, because it's not going to be a solid concrete driveway. This is going to be a ribbon permeable pavers. So I'm not putting a 120 square foot like slab of concrete right there. So.
Okay, well, I think we could, I think maybe the process may be that we can start to deliberate and decide if we have enough information. If not, then we can reopen it. We can ask to reopen it for more information. That's
so Brad. Before you get there, I do see a hand up. Somebody looking to speak to this item.
Who is that?
Christina Lauterbach, looks like.
Do you want to admit her first?
Yep.
Christina.
Good grief. All right. We have another older version of Zoom. Let's see if we can make this work.
Christina, I have to swear you in. Can you hear me?
Yes, Brad, this is Luke Purvis.
Oh, Luke Purvis. Well, you're already.
I swore in earlier. I got to a different computer with less technical problems.
Yes. Welcome.
Thank you for allowing my testimony and your patience.
Okay.
So yeah, the storm water is a concern for me because the Dan's Court catch basin does lie directly to the east of my property.
Which is your
And
property, Luke?
164 North Willard Street.
Okay.
It's got a big white barn about the same, like in line with Will's property.
Yep.
And so that catch basin is the low point of the entire Dan's Court. And so on these water events, like the rains, we do get quite a bit of water that flows to that area from both directions of Dan's Court. And the catch basin, I think, is possibly clogged at this point. And I've had a lot of water overflow from the over the curb and directly down onto the property, and then it runs down the property between Mr. Cleary and myself. And some of our previous interactions with the board, that the source of that water has been blamed on my parking areas, and so it's a little bit personal for me. But a lot of water comes down, and it does cause like a good amount of it can cause some runoff. And so with the driveway cut out into the curb, then that's a little bit of a concern, because then we lose 4 inches of like a dam barrier that was previously containing the water in Dan's Court. On Dan's Court, and allows it to like come through. And so Will was great and I did talk to him quite a few times, and the French drain solution seems like a reasonable solution if it's like can work within the engineering and the grades of the properties. And so if that works, I do support his proposal. It's I just there is a lot of water back there that kind of comes through, and that's just something that I wanted to I wanted to be addressed. And secondly, in terms of the driveway, with the Dan's Court, I already have one turnaround area directly behind my house, and so I get a lot of headlights from that turnaround area. And so, Will had offered to put in some screening when I had asked about that, to help with the headlights when he turns in from Dan's Court, and then would shine the headlights to the northwest, and would hit my house. And so he had offered to do some mitigation with screening around that too. And so those were my 2 kind of primary concerns.
Okay. Any other questions from the board for Luke? I'm glad you were able to make a connection. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. So, Will, the issues sound all solvable, but they're solvable with information about slopes, grades, contours, water flow, things like that. How do you park on this side? How do you not ruin the existing drainage on Dan's Court? French drain may be a good solution there. You just need elevations on it or something. I guess.
I think it's for us to decide, Brad, what we want to do with it. I mean, we've heard the sides. I mean.
Okay, then maybe we'll deliberate and go from that.
And the other thing is, one of the things that I suspect is that there is a catch basin that I believe to be pretty much blocked, and I think that's one of the reasons. And I've offered to pay to have that cleared off, or at least investigated. Maybe it's not, but I think that's an additional mitigation that I would. I mean, you shouldn't have a clogged catch basin regardless. That's what they're there for. So I'm willing to do that as well.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to close the public hearing at this point, and we'll deliberate, and then after we can decide how we want to approach this. Okay.
So what happens? I'm sorry, this is my part.
Yeah, we'll see if we deliberate tonight, which we may deliberate tonight. So and you can listen on deliberation, you can't participate. So we'll probably do that tonight, I think. Does that sound reasonable to members of the board? I don't see any objection. We'd rather come back. Okay. So that's probably what's going to happen. You know, we have one more item on our agenda, and after we close the hearing, we have a few items to deliberate on.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess, sorry, I don't want to keep talking or anything. I mean, last thing, the more I talk, the bigger chance of me putting my foot in my mouth.
Well, at this point, we've closed the hearing, so
Okay, we're going to close the hearing.
Okay.
yeah, we're done.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Right.
And I think that, you know, I think this went well.
Okay, thanks, Will. Okay, we do have one other item on our agenda, which is 441 Shelburne Street project status update. Is Mitchell Richardson here?
Yeah, I see Mitchell.
Oh, Mitchell, I think this is just an update. So you've obviously made progress. I guess it's in your court to give us. Can you unmute Mitchell?
Mitchell is unmuted.
And can you hear us, Mitchell?
Oh, he's raising his hand.
Well,
let me see if I can, maybe if I make him a panelist, that might work. That helps when there's older versions being used. All right, Mitchell, we're gonna try this.
so for Caitlin's benefit, this is a project that's been under construction for a number of years, and it was an eyesore to the neighbors and a problem, but so we've had him come in to keep informing us as to his progress and that he's actually finishing this. And he's worked very hard of late.
Right, so this was last before the board in May of this year. The board requested a update in September unless it was done. So it's not quite done, but it's getting there. The permit's valid to February of this coming year.
It's looking good on the front, but I'm curious about the back. So let's see what Mitchell has to say. Is this any more successful?
So we can't hear you, Mitchell. I'm not sure what's up.
Well, you know, I had the same problem with my mic at the beginning, so I don't know.
No, you were just faint.
No, well, I did have a problem with the setup I had, apparently.
Well, the other option, Mitchell, is to call in real fast to one of the phone numbers on the agenda.
Okay.
Or we can reschedule, or the board.
Or we can reschedule. I mean, it does look good.
Yeah, I think it looks. It's a huge improvement since the last.
I just like
time we got together.
Oh, it is. I'd just like that.
Could he?
The back, which is good.
Could he email in an update, and we could take it up at the next one?
Sure.
I'd be okay with that.
Are there neighbors? I know the last time the neighbors wanted to
Yeah, I don't see Jeff. I don't see Jeff on the participant list.
I'd be interested.
Does anyone wish to weigh in from the public on this? If so, raise your hand. I don't see any hands coming up, Brad.
Okay, so we're going to ask Mitchell to send us an email, and we'd love pictures of the back of it just to have some assurance, and that will suffice, I think, for an update unless we see something untoward.
Okay.
Okay.
I think an added expectation is it will February. Does that look like it will actually be completed by then?
That's the end of the time limit on the zoning permit, so it needs to be done.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to reiterate that to Mitchell.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was our last item on the agenda. We have no other. Okay. No other business unless somebody has something else. We will close our hearing, and then we'll. So the hearing is closed. The board meeting, and then we're going to go to deliberate.